Here's the easiest to-do app for React.js beginners. Dive in, try it out, and start building with the basics in no time. Without wasting time, let's set up the React app. In your terminal, type npx create React app my to-do app. Our to-do app will let you add and delete tasks easily. Once we set it up, you'll be able to quickly add new tasks to your list and remove them when they're done. Open app.js and delete any extra code or default comments so we can start fresh. In the src folder, let's create a new folder named Components. Inside the Components folder, create a new file named todoinput.jsx. This file will handle the input for adding tasks to our to-do list. In Visual Studio Code, you can download the ES7 plus React Redux/React Native Snippets extension. With this, you can quickly create a functional component by just typing rfcb. Pass the props into the todoInput function to enable data transfer from the parent component. Create an input container in our todoInput component, inside which we'll add an input field where users can type their tasks, along with a button to add the task to the list. Let's import useState from React. This hook allows us to add state to our functional components. We'll define input text and set input text, which will help us keep track of the current value in our input field. With this state management, we can easily capture and update the text that users enter. We will create the handleChange function to manage the input text. This function will be called each time the user types in the input field. It takes the event object, allowing us to access the current value of the input. By using setInputText, we can update our input text state with this new value. This ensures that our component stays in sync with what the user is entering, making the input field accurately reflect their current input. We will also add the onChange event to the input field and give value input text to the input field. This event will trigger the handleChange function each time the user types. By doing this, we ensure that our input field is always updated with the latest text entered by the user, maintaining synchronization with our component state. Return to the app component. Here we'll set up list2do and set list2do with useState. List2do will be an array which stores our tasks or the input text. Add todoInput component. Here. Here, in todoInput, I'm passing the handleAddButton function to the add button. This way, when the button is clicked, it knows exactly what to do. I'm going to leave this function empty for now, just to lay the groundwork. Now, let's create the addList function in the app component. This will take the input text and add it to our list2do array using setList2do. Add the to-do component here and pass this addList function as a prop in todoInput. Now, I'm going to define the handleAddButton function in todoInput. Here, I'll call addList with the input text and clear the input field by resetting it to an empty string. Let me check if my button and functions are working fine. I'm going to take a look at the website we've created so far, just to see how the Add button is functioning. I got an error with the Add List function. So I'm checking the documentation to see what went wrong. Look, here's the mistake. I think it's working fine now. Let me just recheck it using console.log in here and an add list function. It's all set. Now, I will tell you how to display our tasks stored in the list to do array. You may have heard about the map function, which is super useful for this. It allows us to iterate over the list to do array and render each task in the UI. So we can easily display all the tasks that the user has added. Let's use map to make this happen. For every task in the array, the map function will execute the code inside the curly braces. The list item represents the current task we're looking at, while index gives us the position of that task in the array. This way, we can create a corresponding element in our UI for each task, making it super easy to display everything the user has added to their to-do list dynamically. All right, now I'm creating a new file called todolist.jsx. This file will help us to handle the list of tasks we have added. I think we need to return the to-do list component inside the map function, like this. I'm going to pass list item as item and key as props here. This will let to-do list receive each task's data and the unique key value. And then here in the to-do list component, I'm using props.item to display each task. I think this should be fine for now. Yeah, this is working as expected. All right, let me try adding some CSS to style this a bit, even though I'm bad at it. Hopefully, it'll give the tasks a cleaner look. Let's see how it goes. I think this much styling should be good for now. I'll come back to it later to polish it up. For now, let's focus on creating our delete button and function so we can remove tasks from the list as needed. Here I am creating the delete button. This will go next to each task. We also need to pass index as a prop in To-Do List, so the delete button knows which specific task to remove. This way, each button is tied to the right task. Since I've already used index, I'm passing I equals index here. Alright, next, I'm going to pass handle delete as the on-click event for the delete button. I'll leave handle delete empty for now, since we'll implement the logic shortly. Now, I'm jumping over to app.js to create the delete item function. In this function, I will declare an array which takes elements from list to do using spread operator. Then I'm using splice method to remove the task. I'll take the index I, remove the item at that index. I'm going to pass this delete item function as a prop in To-Do List. Finally, I'll update the state with the new array using setListToDo and spread operator, which reflects the changes in the UI. Now, I'm going to use my delete item function inside the handle delete function. This way, when I click the delete button, it will call delete item with the correct index, allowing me to remove the task from the list. Well, yeah, this is working as expected. I think it will be better to pass the props like this. This way, we can easily access the delete item function along with the index and the item itself in the to-do list component. I got an error here. It might be due to how I passed my props. Let's pass them like this. I'm glad that's sorted out. Now we can keep progressing with our app. Now, I'm feeling a bit lazy to handle the CSS part myself, so I decided to ask ChatGPT to help me out with that. Let's see what it comes up with. Now it looks like a decent website, and I'm happy to see that all our functions are working fine.